And what we're going to do, instead of having the separate Arbortext Symposium, we've actually decided we're going to kind of converge the two, because PTCUser is really important. They are also about you as the customers and the users and the use cases and hearing enhancements. So we want to make it one place that you can get all of this information. And this year, we had an actual Arbortext technical publications track. And we are fully committed as Arbortext to being involved in helping to plan that track again for next year. PTCUser is going to do the winter event here. Nice time of year to be in California. I'm going to let Brian York and Dan Glenn talk more about what PTCUser is and what they're planning for this community. But I think the big thing that I just wanted to let all of you as our customer base know is that we really want to continue to work with you. We need you to continue to present. We need to hear your stories. We need to hear what you want from us as a business unit. And like I said, we're fully committed to being on board with this next PTCUser, and consider that our symposium moving forward. And in the years ahead, we really feel that this is a one location and one place to keep all of our users and to do everything that we've been doing here, and that we've built up with you for the past 2 years. So, so Brian and Dan, we could hand it over to you.
All right. Anyway, thank you very much for that great introduction, Pushpinder, and thank you, Melissa, for providing the opportunity to come talk to y'all. Brian and I are going to quickly introduce PTCUser and the technical committee and the winter event. We'll start with a couple introductions, go through the board and who PTCUser is, and then talk about the winter event and the technical committees and what we've got going on as far as an organization. We really are thrilled to be able to engage this community. I think we had a great track at the winter meeting last winter or last January, and I think we'll continue that success moving forward. These symposiums, I went to the one in Ann Arbor, and I've really enjoyed this one, so hopefully we continue the engagement. So I am Dan Glenn. I am a PLM person by career, a mechanical engineer by education. I was introduced to PTC with Pro Engineer back at Rev 9, which is about 96, 97 time frame. I've implemented Intralink and Windchill at Solar Turbines, and we are a long-time customer of Arbortext as well. I haven't been too involved in that side, but I'm very passionate about the entire life cycle of the product and what this brings to it. I've been a member of PTCUser almost the whole time I've been involved, and I've been on the board of directors as president and past technical committee lead, probably for the same 20 or 26 years or so that I've been involved with things. Just as a personal note, I'm really into FIRST Robotics. I mentor a couple of teams. I do cycling and guitar, and I'm a huge consumer of manuals and information because I do my own car maintenance, my own home repair. Just fixed a dishwasher the other day. You don't, when you're in quarantine and you're left alone, everything's got to work. You got to keep it going. So I'm a huge consumer of service information, and I really enjoy the science and the technology of the background of it. So Brian, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian York from the Toro Company. Andy and Bob earlier this week on Tuesday introduced Toro, so I'll just kind of jump right into my role. My role at the Toro Company is I kind of serve as a liaison for our remote engineering centers, located throughout the U.S. and globally. So I get to see and use and tinker and with lots of the different products that we have that we use in the engineering realm, and a majority of them are PTC products, and I've been involved with PTC products for almost 18 years. Toro's been a long time Arbortext customer as well. Also, I'm a part of the team that works on implementing and administering a lot of the products, the PTC products. Have been a long time PTC member, user member, and and a technical authoring and management delivery chair for many years as well. We'll go into that a little bit more here in a couple of slides. And then also just recently, I joined the PTCUser board of directors for the technical authoring, management, and delivery, which is great for the Arbortext and the technical authoring and management and delivery, so that we have a good representation on the PTCUser board now. So, thanks, Dan.
All right, excellent, Brian. Thank you. So a little bit about PTCUser. We've been around 30 years. We just celebrated that anniversary just in this past winter event. We are the official recognized user group for PTC products and have been since '92 or so, since we started. I think we're uniquely positioned to support customers, as we've been a community for a long time. We've been online before that was even a thing. And we feel like we have a good working model to engage customers, engage PTC, and engage partners, which is becoming more and more and more important as we go forward. So I did want to mention that we are principally funded by LiveWorks. When you're a member of PTCUser, we encourage you to use our discount code if you're going to LiveWorks. I know that this community doesn't show up in droves for that, but that's why you see a lot of mailings from us and advertising LiveWorks. We promoted our LinkedIn page and our Facebook and those things, because that is a chief source of funding. We used to put on the event, and we used to get funded off that event, and then when we transitioned over to PTC, we worked out a deal where we could get a commission based on members, and we're very involved in the content build-up, and we're excited about engaging this community more and establishing that content at that central conference. It's another reason our winter event is put opposed to that in the season, so folks that can go to 2 events, it's spaced out enough to be able to do it. Like I said, we do the winter event and LiveWorks. We do have a technical committee sort of offshoot at LiveWorks, so that's another meeting for our technical committees. And we also do working groups and regional user groups, but we're not going to get into that too heavy here. If there's questions on that, I'm happy to answer them. This is our board of directors. Margie Korch is our president from Raytheon. The big message here is that we're all volunteer customers who believe in the user model, and our companies support us in doing this work, and they all believe in that unified customer model, bringing folks together. A company like PTC has to serve many customers. The software has to work for many different use cases and many different situations, and so these companies are all committed, and we are personally committed to getting that consensus and making that happen. And when PTC has a direction, or a partner has a direction, we are the voice into that direction. I think we give it great diversity of not only people, but industries and industry verticals and different types of companies and different types of products are all weighing in on the technology. We work directly with several folks from PTC. Our board meets weekly, and we meet monthly with these PTC folks. Jim Burrows is our newly designated PTC liaison. I don't know if you know any of these other names. Jamie Lee Bunton is the community manager. We have a couple of product representatives from the PLM and CAD segment. I'm hoping to be adding the technical authoring to that list. That would be good. We also engage a person to help us with event planning and management. If you ever met Rosemary, the nicest person on the planet, you will remember her. And if you ever try to call us or have any problem with the event, she's usually the person you talk to. Our portal services are through Socius. They're deprecating, and we're working on a new portal solution. That would make a lot of people happy, I think. Our portal's a little clunky, but we still encourage you to get a free membership and log in and be part of our news network. We have legal and accounting partners, and I like to call our partners not just our sponsors, but our solution network. And we're really working to build up that leg of the triangle of what it takes between customers, PTC, and partners to provide solutions for your businesses and my business and all our gaps and initiatives. Our mission's pretty simple. Our 3-line tagline: educate, advocate, and support. I won't read through all these. We have a vision and a strategy, but the guiding principle is important because that's what all our events are based on. If we put 2 or 3 customers in a room and with a little bit of structure, they're going to have a valued conversation, and information will be exchanged and progress will be made. And we've found that model to be consistent since again, for 30 years. It has always worked, and you can tell from the minute we walked into the Arbortext Symposium last year, just even at the hors d'oeuvres in the first meeting, we all had some very valuable conversations, not only getting to know each other, but getting to know our businesses and how folks were handling different situations and what you were struggling with on your implementations. And it got very interesting very fast, and it always does. It always does. So we count on that. Pushpinder already mentioned our winter event. I won't dwell on this slide. It's in January in San Diego. We're looking forward to having a really good time there. We've scheduled a bay cruise for one of the networking events, and we're really excited about that. So this will be our 5th event. They're growing every year. Last year we topped almost 400 people, which was pretty big for us. We're planning for 500 this year. Obviously we're in a whole different state. We're going to wait and see as to what can happen by January, but we're moving forward until we have to cancel something. So we're just planning on it happening right now. So we'll keep moving forward. We'll do what we need to do as the situation develops. So what is the event? This is hard to get a handle on because we're a lot more agile than a formal agendaed event. The technical committees take charge of forming an agenda, and Brian will show you what your agenda was back in last January. But it's formal in some ways, that we need to put out some sort of idea of what we're doing in advance so you can justify your trip and do that. But we're also responsive to anything that comes up last minute and putting subjects in the agenda, and it's very agile that way. Even topics come up while folks are there, and we're able to find and readjust the agenda to talk about those. So it's a face-to-face opportunity for folks, but it's also a very agile structure and more discussion based. I would say you're not signing up to see a bunch of presentations for the most part, but we're very much into the peer-to-peer learning and getting everybody talking. The usability lab shows up, which I don't know how engaging that is for the Arbortext community at the moment, but it's very good for most of our community, and we can talk about doing more there. And then PTC and partner training classes and presentations are getting increasingly popular. They bring a lot of knowledge to the table and a lot of training opportunities for tips and tricks and things you're seeing at these symposiums very strongly. We have a very diverse partner network as well, very generous. This is the slide from the winter event last year. I had 25 tables to sell at the exhibit hall, and we got all of them sold and then some. Had a demand on this, had to make room for folks. So it's a very popular event with sponsors, and they love engaging with the users. And I think we created a very good, for those of you who were able to go, a very good atmosphere of partnering and networking. Just a brief overview of the technical committees. We have a bunch. What is it, 17 to 20? I can't keep up with the number. The technical authoring and management is a defined technical committee within our structure. A lot of these groups, I want to stress that it's not just meeting once a year face to face is what these things are about. Some of these teams meet monthly, some of them every other week. Working on their initiatives, working on networking with each other and getting together. Some only meet at the live event, but some do. There's a virtual opportunity year-round to keep the community talking and keep them together and work with PTC on a continual basis, or work with a partner on a continual basis. Typical meeting, we've come up with this slide called a member brief. We're particularly proud of it because it's working very, very well. A company will tell us a little bit about your company, tell us your accomplishments, what you're working on, what are your top priorities and plans, and top 3 ideas for improvement. One person gets up and puts this slide together, and puts it in front of the community. And you could take up the whole meeting with a discussion that follows on from these. Are very, very interesting, getting to know each other in the room and getting things going. And we're starting to spread this out and do it in regional user groups. Our board is planning on doing it. We're inviting the chairs in to do this with the board. It's become a very great, it's like an icebreaker tool, but it's much deeper than that. So we do that, and the working groups that are working under that committee will talk about their statuses and their updates, and then any old and new business of the community, keep it going. And did we finish anything? Do we need to start anything new? What's going on with you guys? So technical authoring, management, and delivery. I'm going to hand it over to Brian, and you can describe the current technical authoring committee.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. So currently, our PTC representative for, well, actually, I should back up. Sorry. I know for a lot of the people on this call, they might not know how to actually even sign up for the TC or sign up for PTCUser. So I would recommend to jump out onto PTCUser.org and sign up, and then you want to look for the TC committees as well, and you want to sign up for the technical authoring and management delivery TC, so that going forward you'll get the communications from me related to what we're planning for meetings and that. So, but our PTC liaison is Patty. I think she just kind of found out about that just recently, so that's great, and I'm glad to have her as our representative, because obviously those that know her is a long time PTC or Arbortext employee, and I think everybody knows her. So, but you see that the products that we cover there is quite extensive. Anything around publishing and delivery and that kind of thing. So it's everything listed there. I won't go and read them all. So far, we haven't got up until recently. We hadn't had a lot of traction, but with these last few meetings, or the last meeting in particular, the last winter event, we had some really good meetings. But so far we've just had live meetings. But we want to start to have more monthly meetings as a committee. And one of the first steps since that I've taken a role on the board, we need to look for a chairperson to chair the TC. So if you're interested, please reach out to me or Dan. That would be great. And then, obviously we want to start working on working groups that might be relevant to the community. But, okay, sorry, Dan. You can go to the next one. So this is the agenda that we had at the winter event last year at or I should say 2020. It's not even last year, but we had some really good content. Really thank PTC and Pushbender and crew for helping us put this together. One of the funnest, kind of, I think the PTC people that were there as well, employees. I think we had a member brief session, and we went around the room for 2 hours and just talked about what each company was doing, and I think that was probably one of our better sessions. Getting all the updates and everything was great, but that was a very interactive and kind of the start of it, which was just really fun. So, Dan, you can go to the next one. So, speaking of the chair, this is, if you're interested, these are some of the responsibilities, and I won't go in. I'll probably just read the top, but I won't go into the details of it all. But we're helping the members and PTC to get their value. We're going to try to maintain a regular meeting rhythm, which I think we can do. I think there's a lot of interest there. We're going to work on getting some working groups together, and as we start going through that, we can identify what that means to, especially to the new members, or the people that aren't as familiar with the architecture of that. and we definitely, as a committee, we own the agenda that we want to see at the PTC user event. It can be as good or as lacking as we make it. So the more participation that we have, the better off it is. And like I said last year, or in the last meeting, it was great. I think it was really really good meeting. And there's also a monthly TC chair meeting that gives opportunity for all the chairs to meet and discuss what's working, what might not be working in your TC. With that, there it goes. I want to announce that we are going to a virtual meeting. There'll be more details to follow, but tentatively, it's going to be June 10th, 9 to 10 a.m. Central time. So the rough agenda at this point is the member brief that Dan had talked about, and I am looking for a volunteer. I think in this last or on Tuesday, Andy and they gave a really good overview of what Toro is doing. So I'd not like to repeat that. So I would love a volunteer, but if I have to, I will. And I'd like to introduce everybody that's in there since it'll be relatively new. And always looking for topics. So, DITA or Windchill or other implementations and struggles or successes that you've had. Technology that you've seen. I know that recently there's been some really kind of cool things like what Clay has shown and what we saw on the web web reviews. That's some newer kind of neat technologies that are starting to emerge around this, around XML and our Arbortext and that. So, and I think that might be it. So I don't know. I suppose we have some time for questions, or
just let me I'll jump in. So we saw the 3 different things here, and they're all kind of exclusive. We went through them really fast. So there's PTCUser, the organization, which you can be a member of for free. There's about 17,000 members in there. You can attend the winter event, which is neither dependent on you being a technical committee member or a PTCUser member, but I'm going to make the non-member price prohibitive, so it would behoove you to have a free account on PTCUser.org. And then there's the technical committee for a smaller group of folks who can really dedicate some time and really interested in working with PTC on dedicated future enhancements and getting your gaps out there and those kind of things. But all 3 of those things are they're different. They're exclusive of each other. So I just wanted to make sure we straight that out in your head there. You don't have to be a TC member to attend the event. You don't have to go to the event to be a member. You don't have, there's no requirements there. Cross requirements. So that's all we had, Melissa.